For those of you who know the song by Kenny Rogers, the great country music artist who sang the song The Gambler, we all know the lyrics to it. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, and know when to walk away. And in the case of Ben Simmons and the Philadelphia 76ers, well, that lyrics definitely ring true in this situation. Now, Ben Simmons is reported to be looking to report back to the Sixers camp. And the reason being, it's not because Ben Simmons is not wanted throughout the NBA. I mean, what teams would not love to have the talent of Ben Simmons on their roster? But the fact of the matter is that Ben Simmons, throughout this whole summer, even throughout the end of the playoffs, when his team was eliminated, reality started to kick in. And I think Rich Paul spoke with him after fielding various calls throughout the league on what teams' interests are in Ben Simmons and what they're willing to pay to get him, is that they're not willing to sacrifice that amount to get Ben Simmons out of Philadelphia. All right. So Rich Paul definitely has seen the writing on the wall and is talking to Ben Simmons like, hey, we have to know when to fold him. We just have to walk away, and we can revisit this at a later date. You're going to have to be able to uphold your contractual obligations and play with the Sixers. Now, the damage is done. All cards, everything is stacked against Ben Simmons. Everything is in favor of the 76ers at this point. Ben Simmons is still under contract. He has an exuberant amount of money owed to him. And he's going to be on roster for the next 3 or 5 years. So they're in no rush to get rid of him. If he does not come and play, all he does is hurt his value even more. He's not hurting the Sixers in the short term. All right. So if he has any bit of sense to him, and I'm sure he does because he has Rich Paul in his ear and his parents and his family, the best thing to do is to report to Sixers camp at this moment in time. Now, for what teams are asking for, or what the Philadelphia 76ers are asking, they're asking for, an immediate contributor, somebody who's going to be able to potentially future first round picks, second round picks, because they know that Ben Simmons is a generational talent. Despite his lack of shooting, despite all that, he is still a generational talent. So in that regard, they're not going to give him up just so that easily. They're not just going to throw him away just to help another team potentially win an NBA title. They know they have him all the way through 2025, where he's locked in to be owed $40 million that season, 2024, 2025. So technically, they have 3 to 4 years to do whatever they want to do with Ben Simmons. And they're not going to budge at any given point in time. And if Ben Simmons doesn't show up, he's losing money that he cannot afford to lose, all right? The time value of money, he cannot give up this season $33 million and expect to be able to make it up again the next season. That's not happening because time is against him at that point. So he's going to end up reporting back to Sixers camp. They're not going to give him up until they get the right deal that they're looking for his talent, So he can stay there and sabotage the whole thing, but that's going to come back and hit him in legal terms because at the end of it all, the NBA Players Association cannot defend Ben Simmons' actions at all. So where am I going to go with this? Or where's Ben Simmons going to go with this? Okay, Rich Paul has obviously fielded calls. Teams are not willing at the current rate. Ben Simmons, it's not that he's not worth it, but this situation is not worth the amount that the Sixers are asking for other teams to pay for Ben Simmons. No, they're better off just waiting and seeing how things play out. So in this case, what you're going to see for Ben Simmons, he will be back with the Philadelphia 76ers, okay? Unless a deal can get done, unless a deal that's going to satisfy all parties, all 3 parties, meaning the team that he wants to go to, Ben Simmons, and the Sixers. Now, the likelihood of that happening, who knows? Nobody knows the likelihood. I mean, it seems pretty grim out there. Again, he's owed $33 million this season, $35 the next season, then $37, and then in the final year of the deal, $40 million. What team is willing to take on that leverage, especially knowing if Ben Simmons is going to continue to stay, relatively the same? He wants to play the point guard position, but he has to understand that he's going to have to develop a jump shot if he's going to play the point guard position. You're going to need a jumper to play the point guard position in the NBA. Period, point blank. All right. Now, most people would try to say, hey, what about Russell Westbrook? Russell Westbrook, He didn't have quite the jumper, yet he was able to play point guard. Let me stop people there. That situation was different in the sense that Oklahoma City had a fail-safe. When Harden was there, they knew when Harden was on the floor, James Harden took over the ball handling responsibilities, not Russell Westbrook, all right? Then when Harden left, then Russell Westbrook had the ball in his hands, and KD was there. KD was their fail-safe. They knew that when things got tight, the ball was in KD's hands. Anybody watching the playoff series at OKC where they had Russell Westbrook and KD at the same time on the team, that was the situation all the time. When times got tough, KD had the ball in his hand, which is why the 2016 Western Conference Finals hurt Kevin Durant so much in the sense that, typically it was KD with the ball in his hands down the stretch. But you've seen Westbrook had the ball. So, to him, he kind of leveled that series loss on Westbrook, with his bad decision-making and his lack of shooting is what hurt them, in that 2016 Western Conference Finals. Now, when KD left, Oklahoma had no choice but to levy everything on Russell Westbrook because he was their last max player that they had, all right? So they had nowhere to go, no other player to bring in, with the motor and the ability that Russell Westbrook had, so they had to leave him with the ball in his hands. But now if you look at it with him on the Lakers, he's not having the ball in his hands. That's going to be all LeBron James and anybody else, not Russell Westbrook, Yeah, it's just preseason, but we're starting to see little synopsis of what's going to happen during the regular season, and I can guarantee you Russell Westbrook being on the ball is not going to be a common occurrence, all right? So, Ben Simmons, you are not Russell Westbrook. You don't have the motor of Russell Westbrook, all right? But both of you guys suffer in the sense that you guys need to have a jump shot if you're going to play that point guard position. That is just a must. You have to be a threat to the defense, all right? Meaning you have to be able to pass, have the passing threat, the penetration threat, and the threat to be able to hit from the outside. If you don't have any of that, then it's very easy for teams to just sag off of you and be able to help. And then that kind of shuts down all your other avenues, like your passing ability, your driving ability, and it just kind of makes you useless on the floor. So unless he's willing to accept that he needs to develop a jumper, or he can accept to say, hey, I'm just going to be a power forward, and that's the only way something can happen immediately. Ben Simmons at the power forward spot will be excellent. Excellent. I mean, he rebounds the ball. He's 6'10", 240 or 230, somewhere around there. That guy has size and on the open floor, you're not stopping him. He's LeBron-esque in that regards. On the open floor, nobody's stopping Ben Simmons, all right? That's a freight train coming right at you for an easy deuce. So there's just decisions that he has to make. And I think at this point in time, if he's, mentally in tune with himself and he's willing to make the tough decisions, look at himself in the mirror and realize that this situation is not a good situation for him, that the best thing to do is to report to Sixers camp, he should go ahead and do it. But I want to hear what you guys have to say. Like, comment, subscribe down below. Till next time.